Xmen Mutant Academy on Game Boy Color features a two-player link cable verse mode. To establish the multiplayer connection, the link cable must be inserted as both games are powered on. Then the game lets the player know that the link mode is enabled. There are two multiplayer modes available. Verse mode, which is your standard 1v1 head-to-head fight, and then the battle mode is just like verse mode, only each player makes a team of 3 fighters. The thing about Xmen Mutant Academy is that it's not a good fighting game. For most characters, one button punches, the other kicks, and then there are high and low attacks. There are special moves, but they're difficult to pull off thanks to the choppy animation and loose controls. In other words, the lack of finesse means this is nothing more than a mindless button masher, and whoever can land the most cheap hits first wins. It also doesn't take into consideration each mutant's power. Like, Magneto should be able to smoke metal-based Wolverine, and does anyone want to play as ugly Toad or dorky-looking Cyclops, especially when you can play as a mythical flying creature that rose from the sun? There is an attempt to add some flavor to the gameplay thanks to the rage meter, which is activated by pressing both face buttons when the gauge is full, but the match will pretty much be over by then, so it doesn't really mean anything. I will say, playing against a linked human does offer more of a challenge than facing the AI. For the most part, the AI can be beaten by spamming the same attack despite the difficulty. And to be fair, the link connection remains stable in my testing, but the lack of options and basic gameplay probably won't keep that link cable connected for long. You simply just smack each other until you or your opponent falls. While there is the team mode, there is no option to tag during a match. There are no finishing moves, there's no bonus multiplayer modes, minigames, or leveling mechanics, just straightforward lame button mashing fighting. There are 2 secret characters, Phoenix and Apocalypse, that are unlocked by entering their respective codes on the main title screen. However, each player will need to enter these codes before the linked play begins. Since the game doesn't save any data, why couldn't these characters just be unlocked by default, because it's annoying entering these codes each time? I guess they needed to add the "Hey look, secret characters" tagline on the back of the box for marketing reasons. Like the PS1 version, Xmen Mutant Academy doesn't do anything special to make this an enjoyable fighting game. Fans are better off pitting X-Mans against Street Fighterers. There are also much better fighting games on Game Boy. But again, linked play in this GBC release is better than the single-player offering, which isn't saying much. But what do you think? Did you know that there is an X-Men fighting game on Game Boy Color? Which handheld fighting game is your favorite? And did you know that some Game Boy fighting games allowed multiplayer by using 2 Super Nintendo controllers on the Super Game Boy? No link cable and second copy required? Let me know in the comments. And for tons more link cable nonsense, and to see those multiplayer Game Boy games playable through the Super Game Boy, see the links to my dedicated playlists in the description. I also have a Patreon if you want to help support my work. Even the smallest amount is appreciated. Until next time, thank you for watching, and game on.